If you've wanted to make music as a DJ and you've never got round to it and you know you should, well, you're right. There's nothing like dropping a song that you've made into your own DJ set and seeing the reaction from the crowd. I mean, that feeling is like nothing else. So it's easier than you think to get there. And we have a lot of students at Digital DJ Tips who struggle with this. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through why it's easier than you think, as long as you're coming to producing for the right reasons. And we'll go through those reasons. We're then going to talk about the advantages you've already got if you're a DJ, which you're probably not even aware of, but they're large. And producers who aren't DJs really wish they had them. Then we're going to talk about the myths around production, the things that most modern producers can't do, that you maybe think they can. And then we're going to talk about the 5 excuses people make. At the end of this, you'll hopefully be enthused to have a go, and I'll tell you about the courses we have at Digital DJ Tips that can help you. So firstly, let's talk about why it's easier than you think to get started in production, as long as you're approaching it from the right angle and for the right reasons. So here's some questions for you. Have you got ideas in your head about how tracks ought to sound when you hear them? When you're DJing, when you're playing a song, do you kind of think, oh, I wish it did this, or I wish it did that? Do you want to go further than your DJ gear lets you? So you're playing a track and you're using your DJ gear and you've figured out the cues and the loops and maybe the key mixing and maybe even the stems and all this, but you think, if only the gear did this or did that, then, you know, then I could be freed to do this thing I'm hearing in my head. Do you hear things in your head? Do you hear mashups? Are you in the car and you think, oh, this lyric could go well over this song? Or I figure that these two, if someone would just take the, you know, the music from this and take the vocals from this, and that'd sound great. Why has no one done that? It's obvious. Do you want to hear updated versions of a song? If you hear a song, you think, oh, why won't someone just make that, but make it modern? You know, make it sound like something I could use, because it's a great song. It's just old now. It just sounds dated, right? Is this you? And do you wonder what a song would sound like if it was in a different genre? This happens to me a lot, this one. I'll hear, you know, a ballad or something and it's got a wonderful melody, or it's got some lines that grab me, and I just think, oh, go on, stick a kick drum under it, speed it up a bit. Look, if you think things like this, and I could go on, there's more things I could throw in here. You're getting where I'm coming from though. Then you've got what it takes to produce, because you've got the drive, you've got the musical stuff going on here that you need to get out. You want to share it. You want to get it from your head to the speakers. That's what drives all producers to make music. And you've already got it if you were nodding along to any of those. And this is exciting because it means you've got what it takes to be a producer. So if you're already a DJ, and I don't mean you're a superstar DJ playing festivals and so on, but you just DJ, you know, you play music on DJ gear. If you're already a DJ, you've got a huge advantage here. And take it from me as a tutor, as someone who's taught people to do this stuff, who both are and aren't DJs, right? I know the difference, and I hear people tell me this all the time. Because if you're a DJ, you know music better than most people. You might not think you do. You might think, oh, you know, I wish I had more time to listen to new music and buy music and play with my music and stuff. Trust me, you know music better than most people. You can draw a line down the middle of the population. One half don't really care about music and the other half do. And you're near the top end of that half. Just trust me on that. If you're any kind of DJ, you're already there, right? That's built into you. So you know music better than other people. You also know what people like. DJs don't just listen to music. DJs always watch other people listening to music and wonder why it's affecting them in this way or that way, or why they're dancing or why they're not dancing. And of course, when we DJ, that's pretty much all we're doing. So you know what people like. And maybe you're lucky enough, if you DJ out regularly, to be in a position where you could even test any music you make. And this is brilliant, right? A lot of the time, this is the reason people want to make music in the first place, because they want songs they can play in their own DJ sets, like I was saying at the beginning. But look, if you're already a DJ, and the reason you want to make music is somewhere along the lines of what we've talked about already, then why aren't you doing this? You know, this is like something you should be doing. You really should. You don't need me to tell you that past a certain level, all DJs are producing music nowadays, but forget all that. Creatively, you should be doing it, right? So let's now bust a few myths about producers, because non-producers often think, oh yeah, but I'm not a musical genius. Well, no one was born a musical genius. They think, I can't read music. Trust me, most top producers can't read music. They think, I can't play an instrument. Again, Trust me, most top producers can't play an instrument, or I don't have any musical theory and stuff. Look, all these things are useful. It's nice to be able to play a musical instrument. It's useful to understand musical theory and so on, but you don't need them to get started in this. This isn't kind of like flying a plane for the first time where if you press the wrong button, everything's over, right? This is a creative pursuit, and people get into this in all kinds of ways. You don't need any of these things, and most producers, even at the top of their game, can't do some, if not all of the things I just mentioned. So don't let that hold you back. But the other big one is I don't have access to a studio. So I can't make good sounding music because I haven't got the right stuff. Well, hopefully you already know that's rubbish nowadays. Every producer we've ever worked with, and you go and look in our courses and you'll see some of the top names in dance music, very happy making music on, a pair of wireless earbuds and a laptop. So don't think that you need a studio. It just isn't necessary. In nearly all music isn't made in studios, certainly the kind of music you want to make nowadays. So you don't need access to a studio, you don't need to be able to play an instrument, you don't need musical training or to read music, and you know why you want to make music, and you're already maybe DJing a bit. There's an awful lot stacked in your favor here. And as I said a few minutes ago, you really should be doing this, but you're not. So why not? So now to end off this video, I want to talk about 5 reasons that people give all the time. Remember, again, we're a DJ school. We see and hear this all the time. 5 reasons people give for not making music. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll be feeling a bit uncomfortable because you'll be like, oh no, I've got no excuse now. I really do need to do this. Well, if I make you feel uncomfortable and then you take an action, then I've done my job. So number 1, you think you have to go from 0 to hero in one go. In other words, from never made music to here's my first track. Doesn't work like that. Luckily, there's a sliding scale, and this is the key to getting into production. Re-edits at the very beginning. You do re-edits already, especially if you're a DJ, because if you use cue buttons and loops and so on in order to change tracks as you're playing them to make them suit how you want them to be, congratulations, you're already re-editing. Press record in your DJ software. There's your first re-edit. Now you're a producer. Honestly, you are. You've made some re-edits. Go look on SoundCloud. There's an awful lot of producers there who all they do is re-edit other people's tracks. And DJ software actually has features in to help you. Rekordbox has a function called Rekordbox Edit. Serato has a function called Serato Flip that will record your cue point presses when you're playing a track and let you play back the results. This all counts. But then you move up from re-edits to kind of mashups or taking an a cappella from here and an instrumental from there, using bits from more than one track to make something new. Of course, as DJs, that's what we do. We have 2 decks and we don't always just cut from one deck to the other. Sometimes we'll blend things together and sometimes that'll sound really good. And so we'll do it again. Well, next time, hit record. Now you've got your first mashup. And then look, we haven't left our DJ software yet, but we're already producing music. Moving up, we have bootlegs, and bootlegs are just kind of like mashups or kind of like re-edits, but you're adding more of your own music. You might change the genre by changing the BPM. You might strip out the bass line and put a new bass line in. And so these are the kind of stepping stones towards proper remixes. And remixes are, well, traditionally they were where the record label gave a top producer all the parts of a song. And that producer did something subtle or did something completely radical with it, but that producer had access to all the original parts in order to do so. Nowadays, if you're thinking, I'm ready to do this, you don't need that because Stems software will literally take any finished song and strip out all the main parts for you and give them to you. And then you can start doing it. Now, at this point, we're starting to move into production software. So you might have heard of Ableton Live, you might have heard of FL Studio or Logic Pro. All these pieces of software are designed to help you to do this. And you slot the elements in and you get to work. And again, you're not going to know what you're doing at the beginning, but you're going to learn quite quickly. And you've never started until this point with a blank page. You've never had to sit down and say, I'm going to make something from nothing like some crazy genius here. You've always had elements that you're using your DJing knowledge and your desire to start producing in the first place to give you the push to do something with them. This all counts. And then of course, finally, we do get to the point where we're producing music. But at this stage, everything you've done to get to there has got you ready for it, has taken away some of the fear factor for doing it, and you'll find it a lot easier to start making your first tracks. Which moves us on to the second myth, the second thing holding people back, the second thing that I hear a lot, which is, I need to make something perfect. If it's not perfect, I ain't going to do it. Look, nobody locks themselves away in a studio as a beginner producer, and then 6 months, 2 years, 5 years later, the perfect song pops out. That's such a myth. It's just not how it works. Our tutor, Layback Luke, says that he will not even listen to someone's production, someone's music, unless they've made at least 100 tracks beforehand, because you learn by doing. And until you've made 100 tracks, you're not going to come close to making anything close to perfect. And so don't think that you have to make perfection in order to qualify here. You don't. No producers look back and say everything I did was brilliant. Most producers look back and say most of what I did was rubbish, but I enjoyed doing it and it got me to where I am today. So you've got to get this speed up, you've got to get this momentum up, and you've got to let go of the idea that you have to produce perfection every time. If you produce perfection a few times in a whole career, that's usually enough for most people. So the journey is what's important, learning is what's important, and getting something out there that there's something about it. You're quite happy with it at that moment in time. That's enough, and then you move on. So throughput, you don't want to be the kind of DJ who's got a load of productions on their computer that they're not anywhere near finished, they're not prepared to play them in front of other people, not prepared to drop them into their DJ sets. You don't learn that way, so don't be that person. So the third excuse, I feel stupid trying to do this stuff. As soon as I sit down, I just feel like an imposter. Look, I can't read music, I can't play an instrument, I've never done this before, no one's ever shown me anything. Hopefully by this point, you know that that's an emotion rather than something logical. We've already talked about the fact that you know more about music than most people. Your incentive for doing this is right. Your ability to already do the stuff around the edges of production, the remixing and the re-editing and the mashing up and so on, it's all there. So moving up a stage is going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to feel out of your depth every time. But look, we've already said it, as long as you're finishing stuff, as long as you're moving on, and as long as you're learning, then get yourself to the point where you feel a bit stupid. Get yourself to the point where you feel a bit out of your depth. That's where the learning happens. If you don't feel those things, then you've stalled. If you don't feel those things, you're not improving. So treat them as your friends. Don't treat them as something which disqualifies you from ever trying to do this stuff. It's normal to feel a bit stupid when you're pushing what you're capable of. So the fourth excuse that we hear here at the school all the time from people trying to do this stuff is, I feel like I'm cheating. I've discovered a way of getting the drums to sound good without what I thought it would be, without programming them. I've discovered a way to get some great chords without actually knowing how to play chords. Or I've got this tool that helps me make sure I don't play the wrong notes in a melody. Or I went to a great sample bank and I found this vocal that I'm going to use that sounds great. Or I found a sample pack where everything's in the same key, so I don't have to worry about whether things are going to sound bad together. And on and on and on. There are countless tools out there that will help you to sound good as a producer, and every single one of them is bona fide fine to use. Every one of them. There is nothing that you can do that constitutes cheating as long as you're at the controls and you're deciding which direction this project is going to go in. And don't for a second think that the professionals and think the people you look up to and the people whose music you're playing in your DJ sets are not using all of these tools, and because they're professionals, loads more that you haven't heard of. You are never cheating if you're making your own music unless you are stealing something that belongs to someone else and passing it off as your own. So put that completely out of your mind. You're the one in charge. You're the one making the creative decisions about whether it sounds good or not. And the tools that you use to get there are completely fine to use. So nothing is cheating. And finally, the fifth excuse that we hear, this feels lonely. This feels like something that I'm going to be unable to talk to other people about. I'm going to feel isolated. I might go into a dark place just trying to learn this stuff. And I don't want to. I got into DJing because I like playing music for other people. It's immediate. I play a song, people like it, they don't. If they don't like it, I play another one. They do, great. I don't like the idea of locking myself away and being on my own and not knowing enough to push forward and just feeling that isolation, really. I think this one is real, and I think this one is part of being a producer. Production, I mean, DJing can be lonely. You ask any top name DJ about their life and whether it's all social and it's all partying and so on, and they'll tell you that it's quite lonely. The gigs are a very small number of hours in every week, really. and there's an awful lot of soul searching and an awful lot of time on your own, etc. But we're not talking about DJing, we're talking about producing. And yes, sitting yourself down and trying to get something done, often late into the night with your headphones on, you're literally isolating yourself from the rest of the world, and you're staring at a screen and you're doing it on your own. That's why there are two things that we can offer you that can help. So the first thing is someone kind of looking over your shoulder, or someone whose shoulder you can look over as you learn, which is what our courses give you. Our courses are designed so that you feel like you're with us in the studio, or you feel like we're with you helping you out as you do these things. So it's kind of like virtual companionship. But then there's the real companionship, because Digital DJ Tips is a community as well as a school, which means that when you buy any DJ course from Digital DJ Tips, you get to join the community. We have live lessons, we have the student hub where you can meet and hang out with other students, and every single course has tutors and other students in there to help you as you go along. So of course, there's other places that you can go. You can find people to work with locally. There's lots of great forums, whether it's around the hardware or the software you use, or for the genres of music you're trying to make. All of these things count as well. But we want you to know that when you take training with us in order to learn the stuff I've been talking about, you're not on your own, and you get that extra help, which makes all of this process a lot easier. So I hope I've inspired you to have a go at this if you've always wanted to. If you've watched this far, then without a doubt, you have always wanted to, and you're just looking for that extra push. Let me tell you about the courses that we have to help. So at the very beginning of your journey, it's just getting really creative with music. It's learning how to do stuff that maybe your DJ gear can do, but you've never learned. That's the first stepping stone, the re-edits and all that kind of thing. All of our mixing courses will help you there. All of our mixing courses are creative. And so go look at the mixing courses on the website and consider that style of DJing your first step on the rung to being a DJ producer. When you're ready to start using production software, and we use Ableton Live here at Digital DJ Tips, then our Laid Back Luke course, where he starts at the very beginning teaching you re-edits, and then moves up to teaching you to make mashups and bootlegs and so on. They're the first steps towards being a producer. And Laid Back Luke, of course, is a great producer. He's also a great teacher. So do take a look at that course. If you want to immediately start making your own music, you think you're ready for that, then the best way to learn is to watch another producer make a track from beginning to end. And so we've got two courses that can help you with that. The first one is our biggest course, which is our Dance Music Formula course. So Dance Music Formula takes you right from the very start with Ableton Live and talks you through how to make a track. And then when that track's finished, how to release it, how to get it onto Spotify, how to get it into the stores and so on. If you want to make a track from the beginning to the end and you've got the time to put into it, that course is the best way to do it, because you make a track alongside us. So you're never on your own. Every single step of the way, you learn what happens. And the beauty of that course is by the end of the course, you'll have made a track, you'll have done it with us, and it's all the parts that we gave you and so on. So it's not quite your track yet. But in doing so, you've learned everything about the software that you need to know to then go back to the beginning and do it yourself for real. It's a great way of learning, it's innovative, and it's worked for thousands of people. And finally, if you're already reasonably up to speed with how production software works, and you just want to go from kind of average to good, then you should look at James Hype's Club Banger course. James Hype, of course, one of the biggest DJs in the world right now, and his Club Banger course shows you how he makes tunes to the standard that he can play in his DJ sets. And so you're getting a lot more advanced there. You're getting James's actual methods for making club bangers, and James moves quickly, but he shows you absolutely everything, literally everything. He doesn't leave anything out. By the end of it, you will see how he's made a track which has been signed. So if you're interested in learning to produce, there is no excuse. With Digital DJ Tips, we've got courses to help you all along the way, and we've got the community to make it fun as well. I hope you found this helpful. Do let us know in the comments if you can remember back to when you started producing, if you're already doing this stuff, or if you haven't started, what's holding you back? What's the biggest question you've got about producing music? What's the biggest thing that gnaws at your brain when you're lying in bed at night thinking, I want to do this, but let me know. Let us know underneath, and we'll get back to you and we'll help you jump over those little stepping stones and get you on your road. Meanwhile, though, this has been Phil in the Digital DJ Tips studio, saying get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.